Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leo Mookie here, back with you with a new fanfare for you guys. And this one is something I have been, working on for a while now. Since I started enjoying doing system fix instead of gamer fix after all, I like to at least keep getting on this roll after all. And not only that, I decided to fix it with that of Code Geass, to be honest. Actually, I have a lot of Code Geass fix that I have been enjoying lately. And this one is kind of a start of something I want to try something new with the series, to be honest. Starting off, this is the Prince's Gundams, a Code Geass / Gundam system fic. Yeah, I'm aware that I do have a crossover with that of the Rise of the Divine Knights. But honestly, I'm doing well with that series, and I've already reached out of Season 2 with the scripts I've written for it. Just had to get started on recording them, though. But this is basically, I want to try something a little bit new. But I feel like there are a lot less, Code Geass fics around this premise. And this premise being, what if Lelouch had a sibling that actually fully supported him from beginning to end? And that's where our OC comes in. He's basically a royal member of the family that is going to support Lelouch from the beginning of his rebellion to the end as well. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this. So with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 1, The Life of Calvis Ray Britannia. The current year, 2017, of the Imperial calendar, on the continent that would have been known as North America, ran by that of the Imperial Holy Britannian Empire, a country that would have been known as the United States if certain incidents didn't change after all. In this timeline, it was the British that won that of the War of Independence, leading that of Great Britain to rule over that of the United States with their own iron fists. But over years, many nations of that of Europe began to become unsettled with the growth of Britain, and soon led to that of Great Britain to move over to that of the West. And due to that, an assassination that ended the life of King George III, a change needed to be done. The kingdom that was once known as Great Britain changed into that of an empire that began to expand and grow even more. Would be known now as the Holy Britannian Empire, will conquer the entire continent of North America and then South America as well, becoming one of the most powerful nations in the entirety of the world, which soon also led to that of all of the nations of Europe to become one, otherwise known as the Europe Alliance Union, or Europa for short. And the last superpower nation would be known as the Chinese Federation, with China continuing to control over that of all of the Middle East of Asia, even taking over that of Russia and India as well. They are only that of several small nations that still remain independent to this day, but they're a small minority. Africa is literally the only continent that still has many smaller nations controlled by warlords and other governments too. But other than that, these are the three superpowers that rule the world to this day. Well, I wouldn't say to this day now, given that Britannia begins to continue to expand in more and more. But as their expansion grows, their control over the world does too, mainly because they erase that of what made nations and cultures themselves after all. However, this is not about that of Britannia's expansion. This is about that of one prince, a prince of many of the imperial children of Britannia. This boy, or rather this young man, will be known as Calvis Ray Britannia, or Calvin for short as he prefers. Outside of that of the capital city of Britannia, known as Pendragon, outside of the massive city that mainly composes of that of three layers. The outer layer being that of the the commoner population. The middle layer, which mainly composed of that of the middle class, and the inner layer, composed of that of the nobility and the imperial family. However, on the outskirts of the massive city lies that of one small, or rather large manor that has one wide gated fence. However, behind it lies that of several, bunkers and garages, and in the very back lies that of one small, shutter. However, that shutter is more than just that of a bunker. It's actually a secret underground elevator that leads down to that of a separate level, an underground base that holds that of several giant robots. In this world, technology advances a lot farther and faster than that of normal society, after all, to the point that they created that of giant robots by the name of nightmare frames. As they begin to develop and grow with each generation, from that of the 70s all the way to the current 2000s. However, these robots, on the other hand, do not look like the typical nightmare frames of Britannia. Instead, they look a lot more different, a lot more human-based as well. Within also lies in that of another bunker, which has that of several rooms, a kitchen, multiple bathrooms, that of a lounge area, but in the very distance lies that of one room that's basically the bedroom of our current protagonist, Calvis Ray Britannia. Calvis, on the other hand, is different from that of his siblings after all. Besides being that of a recluse that barely likes to interact with anybody, and basically hates formal gatherings more than anything and sees this as a waste of damn time, in his words. However, there's another reason on why he's different from his siblings and also his own father and mother as well, that being his looks. Where many of his siblings have that of fair skin, pale, white, and many even have that of blonde, black, or even that of hazel brown hair, or even that of crazier hairs like that of his two sisters, Euphemia and Cornelia, where Euphemia has that of pinkish hair and Cornelia has that of purplish hair. Even a few of his other siblings, like that of his youngest twin siblings, Caesar and Pollux, who both have that of blue hair. Calvin, on the other hand, has that of slit back, spiky white hair, actually. Not only that, he also has that of lightish tan skin, actually. The only thing that basically symbolizes that he is a son of the current 98th emperor of Britannia, Charles Z. Britannia, is that he has that of dark purple eyes. Not to mention, unlike that of his siblings that have that of lean, beautiful, and somewhat, envious figures, he prefers to work out and basically train his body, especially given the years that he has, spent basically traveling the world with his mother back in the day. Currently now just wearing that of a black tank top with that of baggy blue jeans. Currently at that of a computer, typing in that of a certain code, with then a screen basically materializes right beside him, as it looks like that of a timer. As he couldn't help but start sweating while still typing in the code, he couldn't help but press enter, and soon everything goes to that of zeros. Before then, the code finally fully materializes, as it's saying, program successful. AI inclusion completed. Within realizing, that takes care of that. And that was a hassle getting through that creating this AI system. With then looking back, as he soon looks at that of another screen, as outside of the blue floating one in front of him, he soon notices that giant robots in that of the hangar bay eyes begin to glow. Within, the computer saying, system included, remote control operating AI system created. Saying, all right, that makes things so much easier. Now I don't even need to leave the safety of my home to get ready. With then, as he basically leans back, as he soon looks at that of a certain photo on his side, as this is a photo of a younger Calvin, but with that of several other younger children by his side, and 2 other older children as well, behind them, as he couldn't help but grab the photo, saying, 8 years. It's literally been 8 years since we planned this, right, Lelouch? With then, he couldn't help but reminisce about everything that has happened through his life. Flashback, that of 10 years. On a certain specific day, Calvin, at the age of 7, looks at his surroundings, with blinking multiple times, as around him he sees that he's around that of several noblemen and noblewomen, and right beside him is that of his mother, one of the many wives of the current Emperor Charles Z. Britannia. His mother, Lumeria Ray Britannia. Lumeria was part of that of a Duke family of the Holy Britannian Empire, Lumeria Carton. The Carton family was one of the most influential families within Britannia for many, many years. From that of mainly in charge of that of marketing in many businesses throughout the empire, even through when they started to expand and create that of the number system and having that of areas. It was only a matter of time until at least one of them would have been married off into that of the imperial family. Luckily or unlucky, depending on who you ask, Lumeria was chosen. Personally, she could care less if she had a child with that of the emperor or not. She was nothing but a tool to help their family gain more prestige, and even gain that of the Ray Britannia family, gaining more influence for that of the the high-ranking Duke family. This was basically nothing but just your typical, everyday, average meeting, and basically a stupid speech from that of his father, as he likes to say. But right now, at this very moment, Calvin basically saw a screen in front of him that said, "Chosen system. You have been given that of the secondary Gundam system. Given the major success of the first system, the creator of this system, otherwise known as Soul, has bestowed another system to a world known for that of its mecha. You are able to create that of Gundams. More superior, either more mobile or a lot more larger than that of Gundam, than that of Nightmare frames. Throughout what you do through your life, you will gain that of points from achievements and certain actions by meeting certain people, or by befriending, making them enemies, or killing them, or other spicier things as well. Either way, whatever you do, try and see how you make this world a better place, or turn it into a wasteland. Who could say? The choice is all yours. Just don't get yourself killed too early, especially since you're in the Imperial family. But even so, I have high hopes for you, Calvin." Within, the message ends, within soon saying, another message saying, "Beginner starter pack. You have access to that of SD Gundam sets. Your current points range from that of 1,000 points. Which SD Gundam set do you wish for first?" Within, blinking multiple times, wondering, what is this? Within, his mother saying, "Shush, Calvin." Your father speaking, within saying, but. Within, she's shushing him again, as he couldn't help but pouting out of annoyance. Within, wondering if anyone else could see it. As the meeting finally comes to an end, within, all of the nobles and a few of the, ladies of the Britannia families began to mingle with nobility too. As for that of Calvin saying, "Wait, you guys seriously can't see this?" Within, seeing that of a boy with that of raven black hair and that of light purplish eyes, and right beside him being that of another young girl with that of hazel brown hair and purple eyes as well, and beside him being that of a girl with that of pinkish hair and also with that of light blue eyes. These being his younger siblings. The one with the raven hair, Lelouch the Britannia. The one with that of the hazel brown hair, Nonnally v. Britannia, and the one with the pinkish hair, Euphemia Lee Britannia. Out of all of his siblings, these are basically one of the closest siblings he has. He also has that of another younger sibling he's pretty close with, but right now she's too busy. He also has that of at least that of 3 older siblings he's close with, but just like that of his other sibling, they're also too busy as well. Within, Lulu speaking, saying, "We don't see anything, Calvin. Are you sure you're not hallucinating right now?" Within, Calvin saying, "I'm not. It's just right here." Within, blinking multiple times, saying, "They seriously can't see this? Why can't they?" As he begins freaking out a little more, within, Euphemia grabs that of Calvis's hand and placing her hands together, within saying, "Calvis, are you sure you're okay? Are you not feeling well?" Saying, I'm fine, I really am, but it makes no sense. With it says Gundam system, and I don't know what a Gundam is. It said that it's similar to a nightmare frame. Nonley spoke up saying, "A Gundam? Like similar to a nightmare? Like the thing that Mom used to pilot back then?" Within, Lulu saying, "Yeah, Mother was originally a member of the Night of the Round before becoming Father's other consort. So yeah, but if it's something similar to that, maybe you should look it up. I mean, I could do it if you want," saying, "I'm good, Lelouch. Thanks, bro. But I'd rather look into this myself. If you need me, I'll be going." Within, Euphemia saying, "Wait, are you sure? If your mother and even Cornelia finds out that you basically skipped out of the party again, I know I'll be punished, but this is way more important. And I don't want to feel like I'm going crazy. If I'm just hallucinating, I'll basically just figure out myself." After saying that, Calvin begins to leave, while his 3 other siblings are worried for him. After that day, Calvin began to finally realize what this system truly was. Throughout that of the few months he began to grow as a person, he began gaining that of certain achievements and points from that of his actions. Like, he's considered to be that of a black sheep outside of that of his skin tone and hair, but also because of him being more of a recluse. He prefers not being around people as before, and this even went all the way to that of his early 20s as well. Not only that, he's also considered a prodigy when it comes to mechanics and that of science as well. Even at his current age of 7, he always likes to tinker with stuff all the time and build things. And doing this also gained him more and more points as well, which, as time went on, he began to develop more and more of these Gundams, even gain that of a history book on what the Gundams are. In another world, Gundams are basically giant robots that were created by humanity to fight in a war, or many wars, because there are so many other Gundam series that have been outside of just one. Some of these Gundams have powers that even transcend on what nightmare frames are even capable of. And it kind of terrifies him, but also intrigues him as well. As currently, he's only able to access that of SD models, which are basically special design models, as they're called. When he sees them, he can definitely see where the special came in, as they look like they're something that they would make for kids, to be honest. And since he is, 7 years old, coming up to 8, it makes a lot of sense. It's kind of a test kit. A test run to see if I'm capable of making something this small, and soon after he can make that of the normal builds that he saw in that of the records that the system gave him. He wants to make that of a fully fledged Gundam, something that's superior to that of the current nightmare frames, like that of the Glasgows right now, which are being in development. The reason he knows about that of the current nightmare frames is due to that of his family, actually. Working with that of another noble family that's also that of a Duke family, otherwise known as the Ashfords. There he met that of a certain little girl that would end up becoming a big thorn to his side, and also one of the best friends that he and Lelouch would ever meet in their lives. A blonde-haired girl by the name of Millie Ashford. It's surprising to see a girl like her have this much energy, and it's kind of something else, to be fair. And for somebody like Calvin, who is seriously an introvert and doesn't like to deal with people this much, she is literally the bane of his existence. But a bane that he is willing to tolerate. However, over time, he began to develop that of a cat as he began to gain more and more points and more things as well. He soon realized something. He could gain that of certain perks and abilities from that of the Gundam franchise and series, such as that of enhanced pilot skills, skills in programming, high levels of engineering and design, and the one skill that he wants the most, that is, the power of a new type, or innovator. With the power of new type, he would be able to gain that of 7 cents after all, and not only that, have a higher, faster reaction time, plus the ability to basically interact with that of with people through their minds and understand them on a better level would be perfect. But then there's also innovator, the power of quantum brainwaves to link my thoughts with that of others as well, and speaking to them truly, honestly. Something like that would be perfect. However, currently now with the things he's doing, not really much. When just doing that of his work studies, basically building certain, things here and there, which are basically just toys that for that of Lelouch and Nonnelly and Euphemia, and even that of Maribel as well, which only gives him at least that of, 10 to 20 points. But he wants something better. Best currently, the kind of points he can get is that of heightened IQ and also mechanical genius. With that, he soon takes both at the exact same time, as his intelligence is basically heightened to that of far more than what a typical 8-year-old can do. And not only that, when he sees that of certain electronics and certain devices, he couldn't help but think to himself, oh yeah, this is gonna be good. As the years now go by, currently at the age of 10, Calvin is literally considered to be a freaking prodigy, smarter than literally almost everybody in the entire Imperial family. Hell, the only people that literally can give him a run for his money is either Lelouch or their older half-brother Sneasel, the second prince in line to the throne. Not to mention the fact that he's also considered a genius when it comes to technology now. He's literally able to build that of his own engine for a car. Not to mention, he even built his very own first motorcycle. Then after that, he built his own freaking line of cars himself and designed them as well. With all proceeds go to that of his family and also to that of the common people as well. At the age of 10, he's already considered to be one of the most respected and one of the most beloved princes and that of the entirety of the Britannian Empire. Hell, even that of Odysseus, who was popular because of his kind and basically, get along nature and everything, and even that of Sneasel, because of him being a genius and believe that he'll be the next emperor and is already in the position of becoming the next prime minister of the empire. Even that of Cornelia, who has become higher ranks than that of the Imperial Army and in the Cadet Corps as well, due to her already being in charge of Lady Marianne, Lelouch and Nonnelly's mother's royal guard. Even their older brother Niels, who is also has quite the promise due to him being a genius when it comes to combat, just like Cornelia, has great respect for that of their younger brother. And as the points and gains he begins to get, he soon developed. Began to build his own home himself outside of Pendragon. When his mother found out about this, even that of his relatives from that of his mother's family were pretty annoyed about this. However, when brought it up to that of their father, Charles, he basically said, let the boy do whatever he pleases. If he thinks he's old enough to live on his own, then let him. With Calvin basically saying, thanks, old man, you're the best. And let's just say when Calvin said that to that of the emperor, people expected him to basically die on the spot for disrespecting the emperor. Even his own mother was quite pissed at his casual words. With the emperor himself couldn't help but say, just do as you please. Within, after leaving the hall, Charles was mentally thinking to himself, old man, huh? After all the children I've had, nobody's ever had the guts to call me that. As time goes on, it's soon now time for his new home was being developed. However, Calvin believed that just being a nightmare pilot alone isn't enough. He needs to know strategy and tactics and skills to expand his horizons as well. There's at least out of a few countries with that of nations who specialize in that of military combat through that of martial arts and through that of certain special trainings after all. There's China, but given the Chinese Federation currently right now, not a chance in hell. But then there's another nation that hasn't joined neither that of the Chinese Federation, the EU, or Britannia, and is currently one of the biggest countries with a huge supply of securite, a newly found energy source that's more prevalent and more powerful than that of, fossil fuels and even that of electricity. And he knows the very place, Japan, and one man that is considered to be renowned for that of his skills in the martial arts and also his ideas of honor. He looked up the man, otherwise known as Karashiro Tada, currently a major within that of the Japanese military, and is special bodyguard to that of its current prime minister, Genbu Kiryuji. Wanting to speak to that of the general, is then realizing that the conversation between the two was quite something, especially from Tada's point of view. Within, the major currently finishing up a training set with that of his disciples and also his soldiers, within saying, may I ask on who's calling? So, I finally got through. Good. Hello there, Major Koroshiro Toto. My name is Calvis Ray Britannia, third in line to that of the imperial throne of Britannia. Within, soon hearing this, saying, may I ask why a prince is calling me? But then, realizing it would seem a little bit out of the blue for a prince to call that of a mere major within the Japanese military. I'll be frank, Major Toto. I would like to be one of your disciples. Within, realizing, what? I want you to train me in the ways of Bushido and the way that you fight as well. I also want to know on the kind of fight, on the way that somebody who's considered to be a rising star within the Japanese military as well. Within, hearing all this, saying, can I ask why? Within, saying, I like to broaden my horizons. Sure, the military academy here in that of Britannia is quite something, but due to my princely status, I don't want any special treatment. I want to be treated just like everybody else. I want to see what it's like to live outside of Britannia's walls and like to gain new experiences through other ways. In simpler terms, I want to improve my skills as somebody who may one day rule my homeland. Within, hearing this, Toto couldn't help but smirk behind the phone before then realizing, you are quite something, boy. All right then. I'm guessing that your mother will be tagging along. Personally, no. My mother has nothing to do with this. She's basically just going to be a waste of time. And honestly, knowing her, she would also be against this. Within saying, so you're basically leaving your mother behind and going behind her back? It's not like it matters. It's not like it's going to affect her in any way at all. So I'll be doing my own thing, and she'll be doing her own. After all, I don't want to waste my potential by basically blinding myself to other things outside of Britannia's ideals of social Darwinism. Within, hearing that, saying, I've heard the rumors about you, boy, but they do not do you justice. All right then, I'll be waiting for you whenever you arrive. Please give me a heads up saying, I'll probably be arriving in that of a week or so. Need to prepare, after all. Within, hearing all that, saying, all right then, I'll see you soon, young man. After that, hanging up from the phone. Within, Calvin can't help but think, this is going to be awesome. before gaining that of more points from the system as the achievement due to you have become a disciple of Kadashiro Todo, the miracle worker. You gain that of 100 points. With then saying, all right, this is awesome. I'm looking forward to this. After finally getting ready for his leave, he soon was gathered by that of the siblings that basically cared deeply about him, as being from Nonali, Lelouch, Euphemia, Cornelia, Maribel, Niels, and surprisingly, Guinevere, the first princess. Guinevere as a person is considered to be that of a high standard and basically grade A bitch from some people's points of view, especially mainly from the commoners. From the nobles and other people within that of Britannia's high society, she's seen as the true definition of a prime and proper elegant woman. But really, she basically hates, just as like that of Calvis. She basically despises everything around that of nobility and Britannia's social Darwinism system as well. Hell, out of all of her siblings, Calvin is literally the only person that saw through that of her front and even called her out on it secretly at one of the banquets that they both hated. Hell, they both basically, bonding over the fact that they hate socializing with people like that of the nobility of Britannia after all. And since then, the two siblings that normally wouldn't have anything in common became pretty close after all. And finding out that the one sibling that she actually tolerates and likes is actually leaving kind of makes her feel somewhat down. Especially given that both Nonali and Yuffie are currently clinging on to that of their older brother. With then, Nonali saying, "Do you really have to go, big brother?" With then, soon Yuffie saying, "Can you please not stay? Or can we not tag along with you?" With then, Cornelia can help but sigh, saying, "Yuffie, Nonali, Calvin has made his decision. If he wishes to leave Britannia to broaden his horizon to let him do so. However," with then, she couldn't help but give that of Calvin that of a stern look. However, when it comes to Cornelia's stern looks, it even makes that of Calvin, who is a literal genius, basically flinch from time to time, as those looks alone can basically make a full-on rhino basically, stop in their tracks. With then saying, "I'm still against this. Your mother and I are 100% against this. Why can't you just go to that of the Imperial Academy, where I once went to after all?" With then, Calvin couldn't help but still cling on to that of both Nonali and Euphemia, within saying, because I want to broaden my horizons. I don't want to just, like I said to Todo Sensei after all, I don't want to just see everything from that of Britannia's point of view. I want to see things from other countries' point of view, other ways to expand. And it isn't just them. I plan on trying to broaden my horizons to other countries as well, and other amazing people. Right after that of Todo, I plan on learning from that of this amazing mechanic genius who's quite well known, and she's quite the prodigy too. Her name is Dr. Rashasha. She's expanding in that of robotics and also medicine as well. I want to gain on what's more to the world outside of Britannia. Within, Maribel saying, "Do you really have to? You shouldn't have to after all." Lelouch can up say, "No, let him go." Within, everybody looking at that of the Ravenette. Within, Calvin saying, "Lelouch?" Within, Lelouch saying, "If you want to expand your horizons, go ahead. But don't forget." Within, looking at him saying, "You better not abandon your family when we need you the most, okay?" Within, hearing that, Calvin could up say, "Like I would abandon you, little brother. And my adorable little sisters too." Within, hearing that, both Nonali and Euphemia couldn't help but feel somewhat happy hearing that. Within, soon that of a mere soldier, Britannian soldier, with that of a pilot's cap, can up say, "Sir, your highness, the flight is ready." Within, hearing this, saying, "All right, I'll see you guys soon. I'll only be there for at least for only a year or so. After that, I'll be back." After saying his piece, he soon walks off before waving off to all of his siblings. Within, even Guinevere looks back and couldn't help but give her little brother that of a solemn smile and a small wave. With even Calvin couldn't help but smile back as well. One long plane ride later, Calvin finally arrives to the land of the rising sun, Japan, and there he was soon saw by that of a young man with that of spiky, blue hair and tan skin, as he's wearing that of a militaristic uniform. And looking close at him, he looks like he's at least in that of his mid-20s. Within saying, I'm guessing you're one of the arrivals? Within saying, yes, your highness. Saying, none of that, dude. Just call me Calvin. But if you do need to use my full name, go ahead. Just none of this highness crap. Within hearing that, the militaristic young man can help but say, you're a weird kid. The major was not joking about you. Who else would be? Within heading into a car before heading outside of Tokyo and heading to that of a shrine temple. Within realizing, I thought for sure we were heading to a military base. Urabe driving, saying, yeah, about that. The major is worried to have that of a diplomatic incident. So he basically would prefers if you want to be trained by him to do it here. Luckily, it's also under that of the Kuruji name after all, saying, so the prime minister owns this place. That makes sense. Within arriving to that of the Kuruji shrine, a pretty beautiful and large shrine, as going up that of the hill, seeing that of multiple torii gates, as Calvin couldn't help but be completely and utterly shocked at the beauty and architecture of Japan, as even in Britannia, with that of its always still keeping to that of the medieval theme of knights and magic and stuff like that. To never forget our roots, after all. Japan, on the other hand, just has that of a whole other feel when it comes to that of their architecture, their medieval architecture in the way. With then soon arriving, seeing that of a tall 30-year-old man with that of spiky black hair and gray eyes, with that of a pretty well-built physique, and right beside him being that of a young boy with that of brunette hair and blue eyes, as he having that of a scowling look at, Calvin. Then Calvin thinking, oh boy, looks like I'm already getting some trouble. Saying, you have no idea. With soon that of Urabe basically saluting to Tada, with then Tada saluting back saying, Lieutenant, you're free to go. Saying, thank you, sir. You need good luck, kid. Saying, thank you, Lieutenant. Before looking back at that of Tada saying, it's a pleasure to finally meet you, Sensei, in person. Within bowing his head, Tada saying, you know quite a bit of our culture. I basically did a fresh course on what I needed to learn, and also took that of a language class as well. Needed to learn on how to speak Japanese in the language after all. No one's just gonna bother speaking English after all. Within, Tada saying, you're quite something else, Your Highness. Don't need to call me Your Highness. Just, like I said, just call me Calvin. And like I told that of Lieutenant Arabe down there, he can just, if you need to call me by my full name, do so. Just nothing of Your Highness. I'm just like any one of your students after all. Well, one that preventing that of a diplomatic incident though. Within, Toto can up and say, I guess so. Here is your sparring buddy here as well. This is one of my youngest disciples, excluding yourself. This is Suzaku Kuruji, son of the current Prime Minister, Genbu Kuruji, with Suzaku basically bowing his head as well, but still having that of a scowling look at that of Calvin. With then Calvin saying, can I help you? Why are you scowling at me like that? Well then, soon, Tada Sen would say, Suzaku saying, sorry, Sensei, but do I really have to train with that of a foreigner? With then, Calvin can up and say, hey, what's that supposed to mean? But then, Tada can up and say, Apologies, Calvis. Even though Japan is a lot more open, we do have a bit of prejudice about that of outsiders after all. With then, and seems young Suzaku is currently one of them. Suzaku, he'll be one of your fellow students as well. I hope that you show him respect as well as you show me respect. And you do in return, Calvis. Within, Suzaku and Calvis say at the same time, saying, yes, sir. Suzaku saying, sorry, sensei. Calvin's training in Japan soon began to show its benefits. Throughout the time, he began to learn that of certain martial arts, training, development, even began to develop his own body and training routine as well. Even learning that of swordsmanship outside of Britannia's style of swordsmanship being that of fencing after all. But the swordsmanship of kendo and other forms such as Iaijutsu. Spending time with that of Todo has basically give that of a, good relationship between that of the two. Calvin kind of sees that of Todo like that of a secondary father figure, actually. At least better than that of Charles, to be honest, which is not even a competition. As for his time with that of Suzaku, on the other hand, let's just say the two really did not like each other. Hell, there were a few times when Suzaku really did try, when sparring, he kind of aimed for attacks that would really hurt the hell out of Calvin. And let's just say Calvin did not take that lying down as well. Let's just say the two of each other did not like each other one bit for the first few months. But over time, showing that Calvin is not somebody to just basically lay down and take anything, and is also somebody that's willing to put in the work to train, Saku began to see Calvin in that of a different light. Not in that of friends, but at least that as close training students and as rivals as well. Let's just say for the past couple of months, things have been good for that of Calvin. Hell, he even got to spend time with that of the, Arabe actually, a few times, to be honest. Finding out that he is also a disciple of Taro Sensei, basically makes him his senpai, to be honest. The two got along pretty well, even if, Urabe didn't trust that of Calvin automatically, but over time, they began to get to know. However, it was during that of Calvis's beginning to leave that of Japan that he found something completely and utterly shocking. Getting his things prepared and ready, he soon notices that both Tado and also that of, Suzaku, and even that of Suzaku's little cousin, Kaguya, and a man by the name of Kirihara, one of the 6 houses of Kyoto, introduced that of two individuals that Calvin never thought he would see, at least not in Japan, that being Lelouch and Nonali. But then seeing that of his two siblings, especially the fact that what happened to Nonali is she's currently in that of a wheelchair, and not only that, she can't see, she's currently wearing that of a blindfold. With then running to that of his two younger siblings, saying, Lelouch, Nonali! With then, Lelouch having that of a down look to his face, and basically shocked to see that of Calvin. However, Nonali hearing that of Calvin saying, Calvin, big brother! With then, see, Lelouch couldn't help but basically grit his teeth looking at Calvin before having that of a scowling look at that of his older brother as he runs towards them. But then kneeling down saying, What happened to the two of you? Why are you here? And looking at Nonali closely saying, Nonali, what happened to you? With then Nonali saying, It's just, within Lelouch saying, we've been banished. We're basically have been removed from that of the imperial family. Within hearing all this, Calvin saying, what are you talking about? Lelouch, within, as he tries to grab that of Calvin's shoulder, Lelouch's shoulder, he knocks it back as he growls saying, somebody assassinated my mother. They even crippled Nonali, and now she's traumatic. She can't even see anymore. Within, hearing all this, Calvin saying, that's impossible. Lady Marianne is... What happened to... But then, soon, Lelouch saying, and you, where the hell were you? Off here playing around like some damn tourist? Saying you want to broaden your horizons when we needed you the most? Where the hell were you? Damn it! But then, Lelouch began to tear up and cry before, soon, Calvin basically puts both his siblings in a hug, as he also begins to cry as well, saying, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't there for the both of you when you needed me the most. I truly am sorry. Well then, not only couldn't help, but also began to hug that of Calvin, saying, it's okay, big brother. You didn't know. Knowing that you're here now means a lot. Right, Lelouch? But then, Lelouch saying, it's... But then Lelouch also begins to break down, saying, it's not fair, damn it. Why? Why did we have to lose her? Why weren't you there? As Lelouch let out his tears and saying, having that of the three siblings comfort one another. With those watching, I actually couldn't help but feel bad for them, given the situation. But then, before that of head back to Britannia, he needed the full situation on what happened and why both Nanali and Lelouch are hurt here in Japan after all. With Nanali being looked after by that of, Kagura and Suzaku, Lelouch began to explain to his older half-brother about what happened. About that of 2 weeks ago, right after an incident happened at that of Ares Villa, the manor where that of the V Britannia family known to live. Late at the night, there was an attack on the Ares Villa. Gunshots basically gunned down that of Lady Marianne and also her guard. And surprisingly, Nanali was there too. Within hearing this, saying, "Wait, Nanali was there? But why? It would be too late for her to be up that late after all. Why would she?" But then Calvin basically putting that aside for now, but still worried about that of Nanali. It even caused that of her to go blind due to the traumatic experience seeing her mother die right in front of her. Lelouch pissed in the actions that has happened. He wanted to know the truth on why. Why did this happen? Why did his mother had to die? Why didn't their father do anything to protect her? But then Calvin thinking to himself as well, saying, honestly, that makes a lot of sense. Rumors said that Lady Marianne was father's favorite consort after all. Out of his many wives, Lelouch and Nanali's mother was definitely his favorite after all. So finding out that he didn't do anything or hasn't done anything to try and find out who her murderers were or the ones who attacked the villa just makes no sense. But then another thing came up saying, wait, you said that only 2 of her guards were killed. Where was her royal guard? But then Lelouch saying, what? Where was Cornelia, Guilford, and even Lord Jeremiah? Alongside the rest of the guard. Cornelia was the captain of her royal guard. She wouldn't have just abandoned her like that. She idolized her, so... Within, as Calvin began thinking this, Lelouch began thinking multiple things. Some things that may cause a problem down the line, if not nipped in the bud too early. Within, Calvin looking at his younger brother saying, Lelouch, don't you dare. Within saying, what? Don't you dare think that any of our siblings were the cause of this. Within, Lelouch completely surprised saying, I could see it on your face. You're thinking that Cornelia had something to do with it, didn't you? Saying, what made you? She's the second in line princess to the throne. Not only that, just as I said before, she idolizes your mother. She looks up to her as that of her hero after all. The reason that basically gave her the ideas of knightlyhood and chivalry. So honestly, she takes it to a huge degree alongside that of her own personal knight after all, Guilford, but even so, she would never plot to kill your own mother. Within saying, then who would you think would do such a thing? Calvin couldn't help but think to himself, saying, no one that comes to mind in the royal family, I will tell you that. Within, Bull, you really think as much as some of father's consorts, even my own mother, looks down on your mom, they would never basically go to the lengths of basically assassinating her, with having that of a stern and toned voice to that of Lelouch, with Lelouch completely surprised from that of Calvin. Within, Calvin explained, saying, out of anybody who would want to assassinate your mother, it isn't the royal family, but most definitely somebody within the nobility. Somebody so jealous, somebody so bitter that a commoner like your mother, once a pride knight, then a nightmare test pilot, then turned into a knight of the round, and now turned imperial consort of the empire. A lot of nobles would be pissed at that. As much as thinking of our own family would basically kill her just because of it. It's ridiculous. You forget that the nobles are a lot more trickier and a lot more of a pain in the ass than that of our own family. Within, hearing this from that of Calvin, with Lelouch calming himself down, thinking rashly, before then saying, okay, you have your point there. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm just dropping the gun because I'm just so angry and bitter that they didn't do anything to stop us from basically being banished. But then saying, that's another thing. What the actual hell happened to make you banished? Then Lelouch began to explain what happened. After the death of his mother, after Nanali's crippleization, after her trauma as well, just as he said before, he demanded to know why Charles didn't do anything. Why Charles hasn't done anything to try and find out what happened to that of his mother's assassination. To the point that Charles didn't do anything at all. Said that she died because she was weak. She died because she wasn't strong enough. Simple as that. And let's just say it made Lelouch livid. That he would basically cast away his favorite wife. All because she died. Trying to push that whole social Darwinism ideals once again. But then Calvin began thinking, does he really believe in that social Darwinism bullshit? It feels like every time when he says it, it almost seems more, forced. But then, as Calvin thinks this, before then continuing saying, Lelouch, what happened after that? But then Lelouch looking down saying, something that part of me regrets even saying. Pissed at that of his father's words, he basically denounced his claim to the throne and removes himself from that of the imperial succession. Hearing that, Calvin couldn't help but stand up. Within, grabbing that of Lelouch by that of his collar, saying, what the hell is wrong with you? Within, soon Toto, alongside that of Arabe, and even that of Suzaku's father, Prime Minister Kiruji, were surprised about that of the boy, the young man that normally is a lot more calm and rash, and even when basically hit with something a lot more annoyed, he just shoves it off. But right now, he's absolutely pissed with holding on to that of his Ravenette half-brother. But then Lelouch completely also shocked at that of Calvin, as he would never do this to him. As then Lelouch saying, Calvin, what the hell did you think of denouncing yourself from the line of succession? You basically just denounced the Britannia line. You and Nonnally. But then Lelouch couldn't help but say, then what the hell was I supposed to do? Find your mother's killer, damn it! After saying that, pushing Lelouch down back to the ground, with then saying, how the hell was you going to find your mother's killer if you didn't think that through? Denouncing yourself just made it even harder to find the people who perpetrated your mother's death. You made it even harder to find out who the hell crippled Nonnally. Realizing his actions, Lelouch saying, I understand that you're pissed, you're angry, and you're a kid. But god damn it, Lelouch. When you're overwhelmed by your emotions, you do the stupidest things. And now, I'm guessing the reason you're here is within. Genbu Kidaruji stands up as he almost looks pretty similar to Suzaku, more of an older version but showing more of his age with that of the, well, withered lines on his face, and his hair is a lot less, well, brightish brown than that of his sons after all. But then Genbu speaking up saying, that's because your father has sent both your siblings to be as that of political hostages here in Japan for the time being. With then saying, what? As soon, Kitarugi begins to speak up once more saying, we are currently finalizing a deal for that of the Securidite. Currently now, both your siblings will be staying here in Japan for the next few months until the deal basically was foreclosed and fully accepted. Wait, what kind of deal with then thinking Securidite? Let me guess. You're basically trying to work that of an alliance between that of Britannia and Japan over that of the shared supply of Securidites, since Japan has the largest source of it all across the world. Within, Genbu couldn't help but be impressed with that of the young tan-skinned, white-haired young man, saying, I had to basically think about the importance of Japan after all while training under Sensei. But then looking at that of Toto, as he couldn't help but acknowledge that of the words of his disciple. Within, Calvin couldn't help but say, tell me, please, will they be safe under your care until this deal is over? Within, Kitarugi saying, on my word, as that of a Kitarugi, and as Prime Minister, they will be safe. I swear it. Within, soon, Calvin having that of a serious look, before then sighing, saying, all right then, I'm holding you to those words, Prime Minister Kitarugi. You better not break them, or you bring dishonor to that of not just Japan, but also to yourself and family too. Within, after saying that, soon Genbu saying, you may have the looks of that of a gaijin, but I can tell in your heart, you do have the soul of Japan as well. After hearing that, Calvin came up with smirk saying, well then, I see Japan is out of a secondary homeland now, after being here for at least a good year or so. If it makes things easier, I want to make sure the security plan go through a lot more quicker. Then after that, I'm bringing both Lelouch and Donnelly back home. But then, Lelouch saying, are you serious? Saying, I understand how pissed you be. Trust me, you have all right to be. But you also didn't need to basically just denounce you and Donnelly from that of the throne of succession as well. The V Britannia family needs to continue to live on, Lelouch. At least honor your mother. Not to mention, what about the nobles that actually sided with your mother, though? And if I recall, Millie's family was also part of that. Within, realizing that, Lelouch saying, oh no. Saying, yeah, most definitely, all the nobles that sided with her, especially the Ashfords, are going to suffer because of your actions. Take that to heart. Next time you try something a lot more rash like that again, try and think about other people that are around you than just yourself and Donnelly. But then, after saying his words, before heading to Lelouch and hugging him, saying, just be safe, both of you. Please. I don't want two of my favorite siblings to basically go on the world hating everything and everyone. Within hearing that, Lelouch couldn't help but hug that of his only brother, the only older brother that he truly respects and cares for the most outside of Donnelly. Within, after that one last hug, Calvin heads to that of the airport and then heading back to Britannia, where there he needs to get answers. Answers from those who truly will give him at least something, unlike that of his father, who will just, brush him off or basically pull the same thing with Lelouch after all. He needs to take this smart and needs to think about this more rationally instead of just, going in half-cocked without a plan. First up, there's one person that will basically give him the proper information. One sibling that I need to know why she wasn't there when Marianne was killed. And that being Cornelia and her personal knight, Guilford, finally arriving into that of Britannia's airspace and at the airport, gathering that of his things alongside that of a few souvenirs from Japan as well, because of course, why the hell not? Leaving that at the airport with that of his bag, with that of his clothes, and also a few souvenirs as well. He soon notices one of his siblings with that of a pretty big dude that's with that of tan skin and also that of spiky brunette hair. As he with seeing that of his little sister, but also seeing that of the familiar older men. As then, seeing that of her older brother, Yuffie couldn't help but run towards her. Before then, the older man saying, Princess Euphemia, please don't run. It's dangerous. Then, dropping that of his bags and the souvenirs, she jumps up into that of Calvin's arms saying, oh, big brother, it's so good to see you again, Calvin. But then saying, good to see you too, you've grown after a year or so. Saying, seems like it, didn't I? With then saying, huh? As then looking at the man saying, well, my eyes don't deceive me. Major Darlton, it's good to see you again. With then, the man salutes to that of Calvin as this man being Andreas Darlton, a man who has raised up in the ranks quite a bit after so long. Not only that, he's a well-respected soldier within that of the Britannian military and a close ally and supporter of Princess Cornelia. Within, the man can up and say, it's good to see you again, your highness. But I'm no longer a major. I'm actually now a colonel. Within, saying, colonel? Wow, I knew you were going to get promoted, but to get this far, quite remarkable. I'm guessing Britannia's expansion is growing even more and more. Within, Cornelia saying, yes, actually, ever since what happened. Within, soon, Calvin saying, what happened? Within, Yuffie saying, oh, right, you may have not even heard of since you've been in Japan all this time. Within, saying, is it about that of Mary Lady Anne's death? Within, both can help but be shocked with Yuffie basically having her hands to her mouth, saying, you already know? Within, saying, I already met with that of Lelouch and Nonnelly. And let's just say, I am absolutely dreadfully pissed about what has happened to them. Within, Darlton kept saying, my biggest condolences, your highness. Everyone is still feeling that of the death of Lady Marianne. Truly, there would be no woman that would be able to compare to that of her beauty and prowess on the battlefield. Calvin can up and say, yeah, guess so. And even though both Lelouch and Nonnelly lost their mother, that's what matters the most, right? And after saying that, he picks up his things and heads off, saying, I'm heading back to I need to go speak with Cornelia before I head back home and relax a little bit. Within, hearing that, Darlton saying, look, your highness, that will be a little bit, how is that going to be a problem, Darlton? Within, Euphemia basically looking down saying, well, after what's happened with that of Lady Marianne and Lelouch and Nonnelly, she's been quite busy actually. Busy what? Within, Yuffie began to explain everything to Calvin as he finally arrives back at that of his own home before slamming his fist into that of a wall saying, God damn it! What the hell, Cornelia? Out of everybody, I expected you to basically want to find those who killed her. Hearing the truth, a few minutes ago, Darlton began to explain alongside that of Yuffie on the way back home. Within, he couldn't help but scream out, what? You're saying she disbanded Lady Marianne's Imperial Guard? Not to mention, she hasn't done anything about trying to find who killed her? Within, soon, Euphemia feeling quite saddened and also tearing up too, with Darlton in that of the front seat, actually with that of the driver, basically feeling somewhat scared out of his mind. Within, Darlton still a little unnerved with that of Calvin, as he's always been that of a more, not letting anything faze him kind of person. But now seeing how pissed he is, he can't blame him. Within Darlton explaining, saying, "Yes, Your Highness." After the death of Lady Marianne and also the exiling of former Prince Lelouch and former Princess Nonali, Cornelia, as the captain of the Royal Guard of Lady Marianne, decided to disband it, seeing no point of doing so anymore, saying, "No point? Why not? Having the group alone is basically a way to honor her memory. Not to mention, this thing with that of exiling both Nonali and Lelouch is basically temporary until the Security deal basically goes through, right?" Within, Darlton saying, "You even know about that?" "Yeah, let's just say I had some connections in Japan while being there, besides just learning about the culture as well. But that's beside the point. The point is, Cornelia, of all people, would have basically tried and find out who killed her. So why?" Within, Euphemia spoke up saying, "Because she was ordered to stop." Within, hearing that, saying, "What do you mean she was ordered to stop?" Yuffie began explaining that Cornelia was ordered to stop by that of both Sneasel and also the Emperor himself. Within, saying, Dad and Big Brother Sneasel basically told her to stop looking into the investigation? But why? Why would, I can understand Father, but why Sneasel? Why would he want to get involved with? Within, thinking, damn it, just when I told Lelouch not to basically suspect anybody in the family. With Yuffie a little confused, saying, "Brother, what do you mean?" Saying, "Never mind, it's nothing important. Just take me home." Within, hearing that, they could hear that a despondent and also saddened tone in his voice, heading back to that of his own manner, which currently now in a situation. But then saying, damn it all. After everything, I thought she of all people would basically not drop this case. Damn it. And yet she was ordered to by the Emperor and Sneasel? Damn it all. Something is fishy. If this was just a mere nobles basically getting too big for their britches and just wanting to kill her, just to remove her, making room for another imperial family, then I can get that. But if that of the royal family themselves aren't trying to look into this, it just basically proves that there's something going on. Within, looking at his system, within thinking, I need to get Lelouch and Nonali back. I'll do whatever I can. This deal is only supposed to be going on for at least a few months, right? This gives me enough time to basically prepare. But soon, looking at that of his listing, at his achievements and points, and she's gained that of over 520 points. 200 points from preventing Lelouch from becoming that of a vengeful person, speculating that of his family for betraying him. 100 points for gaining the respect of Genbu Kitaruji. 120 points for being the disciple of Karashiro Tada. 100 points for learning the way of Bushido and having that of true martial arts prowess. 100 points for having one step into the truth. 100 points for having that of a bond for that of Japan. But then, thinking to himself, some of these are pretty damn good, but one's revolving around Lelouch? That's surprising. And then there's one with that of the truth? What's the first step to the truth? I gotta figure that out myself. Then, seeing that of his systems and going through that of his gun and trying to go through what parts for his new SD Gundam as he begins to create it. As he finally finishes his first one, as he calls it, his Cavalry Gundam. Designed after that of the medieval knights of old, to be honest. Honestly, most of the SD models are basically looks more after that of knights and samurai and that of weird giant robots. But it's the knight motif that really catches Calvin's attention. Like it was made for basically to have that of the ideas of honor and chivalry, and yet The current Britannia? The current Britannia that used to live by the days of knightlyhood, honor, loyalty, and brotherhood? Now, look at it now. Two of his favorite siblings are now gone. One of the very women that he also sees as that of a true mother figure outside of his own mother is now gone too. The only older sibling that basically was supposed to always protect them is also gone. Is basically just disbanded and dropped everything. And now it seems like he's getting involved in that of a big ass conspiracy. And no reason why, but part of Calvin couldn't help but get excited. Unfortunately, that excitement would go through that of more and more pain as time goes on. 3 years later, Calvin began, throughout the years of trying to figure out what happened to that of Marianne, he gets through that of dead end afterwards. No matter what he tries to do, he always comes up as nothing. Hell, even one of the royal guards who was actually a pretty close friend of Calvin and admired that of Lady Marianne as well, a son of a baron family, a guy by the name of Jeremiah Gottwald. When he met Jeremiah, at first he was a pretty skittish and somewhat, always uptight kind of guy. But when he talked about that of Marianne, on the other hand, he seemed a lot more relaxed, always having what's on his mind about her out in the open. At that, he kind of realized that he was a huge super fan of that of Marianne during her days when she was with the Knight of the Round back in the day. And when she became an imperial consort and gained that of her own royal guard, he did whatever he could, even though he was the son of a baron and of a noble family. He was willing to give that up just so he could be with that of the woman that he admired the most. Thinking that he would have some leads, especially given his noble title, he could probably do something, even if it is a low-ranking noble title, and yet, nothing. It's more like he was told to just like Cornelia, when he got in contact with him, he was told to drop it, which even proves even more that this is one big-ass conspiracy. If they're willing to basically sweep under the rug of an imperial family, of the matriarch of that imperial family basically being killed, a consort of the emperor, and their children basically being disowned, proving that something is going on. And right now, he needs to get that taken care of sooner than later. However, things don't get a lot easier. 5 months in his investigation, he found out that Britannia is going to war to Japan. Within hearing that, he wanted to prevent that, do whatever he can to stop that from happening, even was about to barge into that of their father's throne room, or even his own personal quarters as well, to stop them. However, a certain someone prevented him from doing that. And surprisingly, it wasn't even Cornelia or even Guinevere. It was actually Sneasel, seeing that of the tall, blonde young man, and already currently in that of his late teens, within saying, "What the hell, Sneasel? What's going on? And why the hell are you trying to stop me?" Within saying, "Calm yourself, younger brother. I understand how this seems." Saying, "Seems? You're going to war against Japan. You know, the same country where Lelouch and Nonnally are?" Within, Sneasel saying, "I see. So you haven't heard. Heard what?" As Sneasel basically walks off, having his hands behind his back, saying, "It seems Japan has betrayed us. They have killed both Nonnally and Lelouch. They've blown up that of the Kyoryuji shrine alongside them." Within hearing that, saying, No, you're joking. You're lying." Within saying, "Am I now? We had scouts go to that of the Kyoryuji shrine to see everything. Oh, there's nothing left, not even bodies." Saying, "Then that means that they're still alive out there. Are you seriously going to basically ravage an entire country because of speculation?" Within saying, "My dear brother, I thought for sure you of all people would be angry and up in arms. against that of Japan for hurting that of our younger siblings. Surely you, without warning, Calvin jumps up into the air and basically punches Sneasel in the face, with Sneasel completely and utterly shocked as he stumbles a bit, even though Calvin is basically that of an 11-year-old boy, and Sneasel is literally 17. He couldn't help but be completely and utterly shocked, saying, my. But then saying, you sick bastard. It's bad enough that you and father basically prevented the case on that of Lady Marianne. But now you're basically thinking that going to war is the proper idea? I'm guessing this is all because of the goddamn Securidite. But then realizing, you're that smart, saying, what did you all do? But then soon, Sneasel saying, it's nothing personal, little brother. Honestly, I wish that it didn't have to come to this. But it seems talks for that Securidite had broken down. And now, many nobles, and even those in that of our imperial family, are quite ruly about not getting what we want. So it seems we had to use that of provocation to do so. But then, basically still rubbing that of his sore cheek, with then saying, so you basically so the army, nobles, and even some of our goddamn idiot-ass relatives decided to basically bomb the Kiruji shrine? Saying, I wouldn't say that for sure, but who could say? Saying, damn it! As then, heading back, trying to get to that of the emperor, saying, I wouldn't bother. The decree has already been said. There's no withdrawing it now. And no, with then saying, but Japan isn't going to stand down either. They would fight to the very last man. Even women and children. Even ordering women and children to fight for their lives. They would never let Japan be in the hands of Britannia. With then saying, hopefully you're wrong, brother. I wouldn't want any needless slaughter, if that's the case. With then saying, no, he will go down like that. Genbu Kiruji is that kind of man. He's the kind of man that would basically do whatever it takes to stand their ground. After all, the man has the very ideas of what it means to be a samurai. Die to your last breath no matter what. As he couldn't help but basically clench his fist so tightly that his palms began turning fully white. Before then going off. With then saying, I always thought that you were better than that, Sneasel, but I guess I was wrong. Looking back at his brother with that of pure and utter hatred, with tears in his eyes, saying, you're nothing but a goddamn snake, as he soon walks off. But then, Sneasel couldn't help but, still wincing in pain, saying, quite the left hook. And you may be right, but sometimes in a world like this, where power makes right, and innocent people's lives are wasted, for nothing but monetary gain and profit. I think snakes like me are needed to prevent any more needless bloodshed. Well, at least for now. Nonnally and Lelouch's death will be necessary for the greater good, hopefully. As Sneasel soon walks off as well. However, back with that in Calvin's home, he begins to create that of his own special device. A drone, actually, that looks like that of a Captain Gundam. As then, using that of solar, as it's solar powered, and when it even gets dark, using that remaining solar power to basically keep it going for so long. With then realizing, I need to find Nonnally and Lelouch. I know I can find them. After that, he makes his own spare homemade rocket to basically send it flying at least a little bit further before using the drone after all. As it basically goes at least halfway in the Pacific Ocean before sending it flying into that of Japan's airspace. And then Calvin was able to get that of a feed through that of his computer, using that of his Gundam system to see through its eyes, since it's basically a miniature Gundam after all. With that, he began to look around and see the utter destruction. While preparing for everything to happen, it seems like they were preparing for everything. Not to mention, they even used that of their newest machines, the newly made Nightmare's upgraded forms from Glasgow's and their newly modeled Sutherlands, as these are just that of the test pilots for that of the Sutherlands. Seeing so many innocent people die, some soldiers, well, mainly it's that of innocent people getting caught in the crossfire. And now, he's already on that of his systems. He couldn't help but have that of a look of pure and utter shock, as he couldn't help but say, "Oh my God," as it now went from Japan to Area 11. To Calvin, he's heard of basically seeing what you when turning in that of a formerly named country into that of another area and province of Britannia, but now seeing what we do to that former country, to what it used to be, and especially for Calvin, for he used to see Japan as that of his own home, as a secondary home from Britannia, and now his first home was destroying his second, as it filled him with nothing but disgust, as he couldn't help but continue basically walking forward, trying to find out of his siblings, as finding out that this entire war was going on for almost that of a whole damn month, without him even knowing. If it wasn't for him trying to find out what happened, hell, what distracted him even more is finding out what happened to Maribel and that of her mother and sister and that of his sibling and her siblings as well. Turns out she was caught up in a terrorist attack, which killed that of her mother and siblings, but left her alive, but with half of her body basically scarred and burned. Hell, he was mainly trying to make sure that she was taken care of and properly looked after. But it seems easier said than done. But still, damn it. If he knew about what they were planning, he would have prevented this. Possibly even have warned the Japanese government. Give them that of an age in peace talks. And yet, he was too busy in his own personal little world and trying to find out the truth about what happened to Lady Marianne and trying to get back his siblings. But seeing this, seeing what happened here, absolutely livid. But then, still looking around, before noticing that of 3 kids. 3 kids that he knows all too well. But then, as it being Lelouch, Suzaku, and Nonali, as they look over that at the edge of the city, seeing that it's all completely destroyed. Within, soon, Lelouch could help but say, "Suzaku." Then, Suzaku looking at that of Lelouch, with that as he completely is surprised and shocked, saying, "I swear it. I swear. On this day, I will obliterate Britannia!" Within hearing that, Suzaku couldn't help but look down to his hands and say, This is my fault. Within hearing that, as then hearing that of a voice saying, "If you're going to eliminate Britannia, then you're going to need more than just words alone, little brother." Within hearing that, Lelouch couldn't help but be completely shocked, seeing that of the miniature drone Gundam floating up in the air. Within saying, "What the? Wait, that voice." Within soon not only saying, "That voice, Big Brother Calvin?" But then, opening that of his eyes, creating that of a small visual hologram showing him, saying, "Oh, thank God, I knew you guys were alive. Oh, I was so worried." Within, Lelouch saying, "Calvin, what are you doing here? How did you..." Long story short, heard what happened with that of the Kyoryuji line, heard what happened with Japan, and I was trying to find you guys. Sorry it took forever, after all. Within, Lelouch saying, "So what? Trying to convince me to come back?" Saying, "Not a chance in hell. Especially what's going on in both Britannia and here." Within, saying, "What?" As then, Calvin began to explain everything about what he's been trying to find about his mother's death. Within, finding out saying, "So you're saying that..." Yeah, Sneasel and the Emperor himself has basically prevented anything on investigating on your mother's death. No matter what we do, it's all prohibited. Even for me, whatever happened to your mother, it basically goes all the way to the top. Cornelia tried to look into it, but she couldn't. Same thing also goes with that of young Jeremiah too. Anything, even for myself, I was blocked from everything I could do. Not to mention what happened to Maribel too. She's still in the hospital right now, but she should be able to make a full recovery in that of a few months or so. But other than that, currently everything in Britannia is not as good as you think it is. Hell, it's gotten so damn worse, showing what those with power are basically corrupt as hell and doing whatever the hell they want, just for their own satisfying needs of validation and power. But then, Lulu's saying, damn it, I knew that bastard didn't give a damn. I knew that bastard just... Then saying, if you really want to obliterate Britannia, do you, Lelouch? Within, hearing that, saying, what? Then I'll help you. Within, hearing this, Suzaku saying, hold on, Calvin, you can't be serious, right? Within, looking at Suzaku saying, Suzaku, I'm entrusting you with that of my siblings' protection for the time being. For the meantime, knowing how Britannia goes when they basically take over an area, for the next few years they're going to be rebuilding the most important cities, mainly that of Tokyo, Kyoto, Osaka, and Sapporo as well. But everything else, that's just going to have to basically wait. For the time being, I'm asking you to look after my siblings, and if you can find Sensei, I know that you guys can trust him too. Then, looking down, Suzaku saying, but. Then, Lu's saying, what about you? I'm going to need to gain more power too. After seeing all this, after seeing the crap we're going through, I never wanted to use that of weapons. And I wanted to use my genius to help those in need. But now I realize why I have this power. But then, all three of them couldn't help but be shocked and surprised hearing this, wondering what Calvin's talking about, saying, now I know with this power, I'll prevent any more pointless lives. I'll save as many people, even my own family, even if it makes me seem like a traitor to my own homeland. I'll do what I have to make things right. I'll see you again, Lelouch. I'll talk to you and Nonali later. Within, saying, love you. And keep the drone. It's solar powered, so you can also get in contact with me through it. Just need activated and I'll basically know when you want to talk. But then, hearing that, the hologram closes. Within soon, the drone stops hovering in the air. With now, it falls to the ground with Lelouch catching it. Almost looking like that of a toy, actually. Within can help but smirk, saying, that idiot. And yet he's really willing to go through this for me, Nonali. Within, Nonali saying, Big Brother? Is Big Brother Calvin? Let's just say he'll look after us for the time being. For now, within, grabbing that of Nonali saying, we need to get some shelter. Suzaku, could you? Saying, yeah, I'm coming. Within, after walking away, Suzaku began thinking, will he forgive me? Will Calvin ever forgive me for what I've done? Will anybody forgive me for what I've done? It's Father. Then, Suzaku couldn't help but look down as tears began to fall down his eyes without him even sobbing. After that, Area 11 has now fully been established. As for that of Calvin, he spent that of the next few years growing his empire in technology, focusing more on that of improving that of modern medicine, because given what happened with Nonali losing her legs, he wanted to make sure that stuff like that doesn't happen again by using that of technology from other Gundam series, by enhancing his intelligence once more. Regeneration pod treatment. It basically enhances the reproduction and regeneration of cells, even to that even to that of both nerves and bones as well, to the point that it doesn't hurt as much. Expanding that of his cost for that of common lives even more, with that of cellular devices, even basically creating the very first smartphone in the world of code Geass, and making it affordable for almost anybody that is a commoner, after all. Hell, if you're a noble, you have to pay basically top dollar for that of the latest model, actually. Just to make it seem a little bit less, well, suspicious, he basically makes it free for that of the Imperial family being his own family. So yeah, that makes things a little bit easier. However, for the special models he creates, he makes it that of a way to hack into their phones and listen to what they're doing, though. It's some dirt on them to make it easier to find out what's going on. And let's just say a few of his siblings really do know how to piss him off. But other than that, he also began to grow even more. Just like he promised, even though it took longer than before, he began to learn under that of a amazing technological genius in robotics to enhance that of his points even more. That being Dr. Rashasha. The woman's a bit eccentric, and she basically sees that of her creations as that of her babies, to be honest. But she's a genius, not to mention, she's not that kind of person that basically discriminates or basically hates anybody. To her, basically expanding her horizons in that of technology and also developing that of her pet project, her greatest creation, a nightmare frame that can surpass all nightmare frames, as she would call it. She's currently working and calling it the Gurren, but for the meantime, she's working on that of other mass-produced models. And let's just say a little slip of the tongue, as in her words, these mass-produced models are going to that of good people, after all, into a certain area in that of the Far East. Hearing that, it gave at least that of a little bit of hope for Japan, knowing that they get at least some support from those outside of the country. But soon after, he's finally done it. He's created that of two more SD Gundam models. The second one is called the Black Knight Gundam, while the other, the Shinkoku. And soon, his system began to upgrade, as then saying, you have now achieved the achievement, the three of a kind. You are now have access to that of normal model mobile suits. Within saying normal model, within saying, as now looking at that of the store, he sees that of more options for that of creating Gundams. However, they seem to be that of not the kind of Gundams that he would expect, like that of the SD models that had a lot more personality. These, on the other hand, seem like something that you would see for that of Gloucesters or Sutherlands, or that of the newly developed and currently in the making 6th generation nightmare frames, the Gloucesters, which currently are given to that of mainly the Royal Guard, or rather, the true Imperial main forces, which Cornelia has now taken true control over, as that of the military general for Britannia, is now given that of a secondary assignment. Create that of 4 special-made custom mass-produced models. After that, your access to that of more Gundam parts will be accepted. But then saying, that seriously? Oh man, this is gonna be so easy. But still, then thinking to himself, well, Lush needs more help. And the same thing goes for me. As much as I want to tell those who I can trust the most, like that of Yuffie and maybe Maribel, but then thinking about that of his little sister that's been in charge of terrorist attacks, let's just say she hasn't been the same since the incident. She's been a lot more aggressive, angry. She treats her family with bad respect, but anyone outside of it, she seriously sees them as nothing but a threat and will always keep them at arm's length. Even started doing military training as well, showing that she's trying to follow in that of Cornelia's footsteps. Knowing this, he can't help but think, I need to find those who I can trust the most as well. And little did he know, he would end up gaining those people that he would trust. And that would be in that of the Britannia Pendragon Military Academy, Originally, his siblings were a little bit of him against going to that of the Imperial Academy, actually, and thinking that he could do better with just that of a royal tutor. Hell, even his own mother was against this as well. Hell, she was even trying to put her foot down, thinking that he's had too much freedom and is causing too much of a panic as well. And yet, he's basically one of the richest prince in that of all of Britannia, even rivals that of Cornelia, Sneasel, Odysseus, and even that of Guinevere's royalties, after all, for being that of the second and first princes and princesses. And yet, he's only that of third in line to that of the prince line, after all, as he took that of Clovis's spot due to his royalties and due to his contributions to that of Britannia's growth, and that of the medical field and that of common days, after all, even creating that of AIs to help out too. Which is also thanks to that of his system, creating that of his own custom-made AI, which is easier said than done lately. It's always ending up in that of, well, backlashing and not wanting to create that of Terminators, after all, or Skynet. He's basically doing trial and error. But he's mainly going to that Imperial Academy to find those he can trust the most, with that of his secret to change Britannia for the better. And let's just say it was easier said than done for the next few years. But he was able to gain them. That of 4 women and also 2 males. They would make up his own personal guard. A guard that only answers to him and him alone and fights for his ideas and what he fights for alone as well. Even if it goes against Britannia, they will do what their prince asked for. No questions asked or what's. However, one of them would end up becoming that of a spy, though. For the time being, they remain anonymous. But as for the current Calvin, currently at the age of 19, currently in his bunker, with now looking through the photo, and then looking at that of another photo right beside it. That of him and his royal guard, the people that he sees as his new friends and family, and even that of lovers as well. But then, seeing on that of one of his other monitors, he sees an ad of Area 11, as he likes to keep up to date in what's going on there, with multiple terrorist attacks, mainly that of resistance fighters, other resistance groups, and everything else like that, and what's left that of the Imperial Japanese military, which he found out that his sensei and also senpai are now part of, actually, and tries his best to support them behind the scenes, after all. But currently, it seems right now that Japan is going through that of a certain crisis, especially in that of the Tokyo settlement, that of terrorists gained that of toxic gas and brought it to that of the Shinjuku ghetto. Unaware of what's going on, but then realizing, so it must be time now. This is going to be good. But then, looking through that of his stats, as he's gained that of a lot of abilities, from that of enhanced intelligence, from that of mechanical genius, to entrepreneur, to skill, to ace pilot, and to his most impressive ones, currently right now, an X-rounder and a coordinator. Being an X-rounder is basically that of a discount new type, not giving him the same abilities and strength as that of a regular new type, but still somewhat similar. As coordinator, being a coordinator gives him the perfect and absolute genes of a human being, as no matter what he does or how he does it, it's always going to be perfect. But then, going to that, as he gets out of his chair, before then, heading to that of a special made room, where inside you see that of a pilot seat, actually, somewhere in that of nightmare frames, but it seems more custom made. But then realizing, I guess it must be time, I could feel it. I could feel the shift coming through the air now. I know it. Lelouch, you're going to be there, right? I'll contact you and see what's going on. Hope you still got my number after all. But then, getting to the seat, before going to his systems and selecting a certain mobile suit, that being the cavalry Gundam. Within him couldn't help but smirk, saying, "Let's do this. It's time to make a change to the world today. I, Calvis Ray Britannia, will do what's necessary for the greater good of the world." As the cockpit room begins to light up, with Calvin having that of a big menacing grin on his face. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Let's read them. Yeah, and this was a long one. I honestly knew it was going to be a pretty long one, to be honest, given that I had to go through a lot of origin when it came to that of Calvin. Not only that, I wanted to build his relationship with that of his siblings, to be honest, and about how he gained this power. I did skip over a few things that I wanted to add, but I decided to have them more into that of a flashback chapters when introducing that of his personal guard, who will also have mobile suits of their own as well. So yeah, look forward to that, guys. At any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to get to date my videos upload to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, gaming channel, main channel, Patreon, and Cash App. All link in the description below. Oh, and PS, I decided to also do more of Code Geass fix about that of Lelouch having siblings helping him out. Like I said, I have at least a few ideas that I want to run by you guys, actually, in that of the community tab. And I'll probably put them in the polls and see if you guys like them. Other than that, I want to say thank you guys and hope you all have a good day. Signing out. Later.